The year is 2012. The world is global. It's been for a while, actually. I've spent the last 19 years of my life studying and trying to understand this world. My journey for this film starts about a year ago, with my admission to Babson College through the Wiseman Scholarship Program, a program that has provided me funding for this film. In a way, was also the catalyst for the entire project. For the last year, I've been studying business and entrepreneurship at Babson, a Boston-based college, and met a ton of different entrepreneurs on campus and across North America. My story with entrepreneurship actually begins in 2008 when I participated in a student company program called Junior Achievement in Montreal. A year after joining the program, my first student company that sold scarves and gloves was quite successful, and I became in 2009 Quebec's Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Ever since, I've been working on several other student companies and have always been interested in hearing the stories of successful entrepreneurs. Then again, I've also always been quite passionate about film, notably film production. Hence, through this venture, I've combined my passions for business and film by creating a documentary on entrepreneurship, specifically entrepreneurship in India. I spent about 3 months planning for the trip by first of all writing a funding proposal to the Wiseman program by outlining my entire project. Then I tapped into my network of friends in India as well as through the alumni office at Babson to figure out the cities that I wanted to be visiting. I planned to spend over 2 months in India from June to August, starting with 20 days in Mumbai and the rest of my stay to cover 12 cities from west to east and north to south all over India. Hence, I planned on flying from Boston to Mumbai. From there, I figured I'd travel by train down the coast to the sandy beaches of Goa and then head east to the IT hubs of Bangalore and back north through a village called Puttaparthi till I reached Hyderabad. So why India? With a population of 1.2 billion, a GDP of almost 2 trillion that has been growing by 6 to 9% over the last decade, this emerging country is far from underdeveloped from an economic standpoint. And with the exponential growth of the middle class that now for the first time ever has all of this disposable income, India is a country that jumped from the agricultural age to the digital age without going through an industrial revolution. It is filled with opportunities for businesses to emerge in the fields of IT, infrastructure, and healthcare. The project Defining Entrepreneurship in India consists of interviewing hundreds of entrepreneurs throughout India, gathering different perspectives, all in an effort to paint a representative picture of entrepreneurship in this amazing country. I went over my plans, bookings, itineraries, and goals for this project for over a month as I was waiting for my visa. But then, before I knew it,
Give me a what the funk. Say what the funk.
ਤਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਿੱਧਾ ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਪਾਉਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੀ ਲੱਕ ਨਾਲ ਠੁਮਕਾ ਜੇ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੀ ਤਾਲ
Mumbai, city of dreams and extremes. From multi-million-dollar companies to the local tea stand seller. From the lavish Taj Hotel to the slums of Dharavi. This is a city where thousands of people come every day to fulfill their dreams of being successful.
Give me a walk the phone. Say walk the phone.
Hi, I'm Aloki Janani. I just graduated from Babson this May. I'm here on vacation in Bombay, India, which is where I grew up. And I'm going back today, this evening, to New York to start work at JP Morgan as a banking analyst.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. So I am Chinmoy, and I'm from the class of 2008. I was from the MBA program of 2008. And prior to Babson, actually, I was in Philadelphia for a significant amount of time. I was there for like 5 years or so, from like 2001 till 6, I guess. And then, so I was doing great in my job. It was a great job and everything. But something within me said that the work is starting to get slightly monotonous, and I was looking forward to a change.
Sure, so my name is Nandu Madhava. I was born in Boston, raised in Texas. All my family is originally from Bangalore. But I really didn't live here for any kind of long period of time. I just come back over the summers. I did my undergraduate at the University of Texas, and later did my MBA at Harvard. And I guess if I talk about my development experience, was just so after University of Texas, I had a job offer from Goldman that I deferred for 2 years to do the Peace Corps, and that's like probably one of the best decisions I ever did in my life. So I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the Dominican Republic, where I worked as a translator for U.S. doctors who were doing free clinics and free surgeries. And it was there I just heard this very common story that many people suffer from a lack of basic health information.
This was started by my father from scratch. I think when he was like 8 years old. From really absolutely poor beginnings. His father died when he was 8 years old or something. So he had to start the business. We started in the port town of Vasco.
I started my career 33 years before.
Okay.
With 2 looms in my oven house.
Oh, okay.
And I took the job work from exporter. I worked for 8 years as a contractor manufacturer.
Oh, okay.
And then I started my oven export with my brother. And 12 years before, I separated from my brother and started Jaipur the company.
Welcome to Pune, a city about 3 hours west of Mumbai, and you can already see it's a much smaller city compared to Mumbai. So the story of Pune goes a little like this. It's a little like very similar to the story of Detroit, where you had a huge manufacturing side and all these different car plants that came into the industry. But then slowly in 2008, similarly to what happened with Detroit, as the car industry started falling, the same thing happened here in India, and Pune was really hit and affected by that, and started thinking, well, we need to diversify in different areas, because the car manufacturing industry is not always going to be around, and we can't just be dependent on just one industry. So what happened was that a whole bunch of universities and schools had all these bright students coming out of schools here in Pune, and what they eventually decided to do is start a IT hub for the city. And so that's one of the founding reasons for which a city like Magarpada city, in which we're in right now, was formed and was started to supply India with more and more IT students and yearly place them into jobs at different commercial companies here. And so this is how Pune is becoming the new Bangalore of India.
So maybe I realized, hey, if I'm working so hard for somebody else, why not do it for myself? And that's something that I had always wanted to do. But I was still, because the place I was working for, it was kind of much more than a company for me. It was not a company for me, because it's such a small place. You get involved much more emotionally, so it's much beyond than just a company. So sometime last year or so, when I started really seriously thinking of moving out and doing something, my friend suggested, hey, you're just a company, why don't you just move out and just say I'm leaving and go out. And I heard almost the same opinion from all the people, but to me it seemed, no, this is not a company to me. I need to take it to a certain stage, which we all started on a journey, and it's not fair for me to just leave them midway. So I did stick with them for a while, but so interestingly it happened. One day my CEO, he walks into my cabin and he just looks at me and says, Chinmoy, what's wrong? Oh. And I just said, why don't you have a seat? And he sat, and I said, you know what, I think it's time for me to move out. Oh. And those were the toughest sentence that maybe I have spoken.
I don't think you decide that you want to become an entrepreneur. I think you just are one.
So the company was started in 1970, and it was we're primarily a diamond cutting, polishing and export, and a jewelry manufacturing business. So there are two divisions, the diamond division and the jewelry division.
This was high-tech entrepreneurship was my last class.
I see.
Okay, so I purposefully kept it 10 because I want to finish with the business plan and then get into entrepreneurship. So it was well planned and things just worked out fine. Yeah.
Wow, so, that's really cool. How a Babson business plan started into this very big company now in Gopur.
Yeah. So as soon as I entered, I rose from just being like an intern, director by the tag, and intern by through that to an actual executive director.
Oh, okay.
And
really quickly.
like in a matter of 2 years, because we were able to take some important decisions in terms of channelizing operations and how to integrate IT into it, and upgrading systems in marketing. And we also invested in R&D.
I knew that when I was signing up, it was going to be a bumpy ride, especially in the beginning. I think every entrepreneur knows that when he's signing up to start something of his own. But I think sometimes what people don't tell you is that you just need to take the leap. Like, you don't know anything about it, it's fine. You will learn in the process. Just jump in and go ahead.
Welcome to the wonderful beaches of Goa. We finally made it to the city here of a population of a couple 100,000 people, and it's really one of the big touristic attractions or centers in terms of India. But now, as you can see, if you look at the beach around here, it's nothing like the beach in the US. It's really not a beach that you could go swim in per se. It's more because we are here in monsoon season. The beach is actually really, really rough and really wild, and it's really tough to swim in it. But nonetheless, there are over 100 of different people here that are on the beach just enjoying their vacation time. And it's a wonderful place to be, where there's a lot of things happening, and the entire economy of the place is based and built on the tourism industry. So within like the gated and closed community of Nagarpada city, you can already see that there's a much different feel around here, where there's hardly any pedestrians walking on the streets. There's no people selling things everywhere. It's a completely different feel from the crawling and happening streets of Mumbai, where here everything seems to be very, very organized and very simple and well maintained.
We're at a phase right now because the internet's so new in India. There's 120 million internet users. Almost half of them have come on in the last 3 years.
Look at what has happened in the last 2-3 decades in terms of the outsourcing world. The first outsourcing wave was about software development. The second one was about BPO, KPO, where business process and knowledge process outsourcing has been done. So many research companies regard this as the third big wave and the biggest wave, right? Compared to the previous two, is infrastructure management services, right? IMS, wherein over the 3-4 decades, many businesses have grown and become dependent and integrated with IT. Right? So if you look at any business, more or less they are dependent on IT. Our IT is also becoming an enabler, business enabler for them. And the same thing now can be done by somebody who only does that as a pure play player with a high capability and a maturity and a leveraged cost leadership. Can actually be sourced.
Satish Kumar, whom you just heard from, is a truly unique Babson story about how entrepreneurship and IT merge in India. Shortly after getting his MBA at Babson, he formed a global IMS company based on a business plan that he had written with a fellow professor at Babson. The company, Global IMS, is currently based out of Bangalore and is growing at a phenomenal pace. While interviewing Mr. Kumar, I got the opportunity to meet with many of his executives of his company and learn how entrepreneurship had become a huge part of their company's DNA.
A recent example has been Flipkart. For example, Flipkart has been great. Then you have Make My Trip. So Flipkart and Make My Trip, I believe, are the true billion-dollar companies from India. Startup ventures in the last 3-4 years.
In the IT
world, and then you always have the cases of Infosys and Tatas and Wipro, HCL. Yeah.
I think IT industry is such that you continuously, if you can innovate and build new applications which people see value in, I think they can be good. That will be good. So Indians have got that opportunity. I see. A lot of new things are happening: cloud computing, mobile, security. Some of these things that are coming up can change the game.
Bangalore, which is known as the IT capital of India, also got me thinking about the various infrastructure improvements that the city has received in the last couple of years, and how infrastructure plays a huge role in the Indian economy.
For the last couple of days, I've been working at VK Industries, a company that basically specializes in the import and export of steel. And while working for this company, my goal was to learn a lot more about working in India and about how business is done in India, so that I had a good idea of operations and different things, logistics here in India, before I went off and asked a whole bunch of different entrepreneurs questions about their businesses in India. So this led me now here today to the main warehouse of VK Industries, where over 16,000 metric tons of steel are stored and processed through on a daily basis too. And it was really great because in this experience, not only did I learn a lot about different procedures and business in India, but I learned a lot about the steel industry, which is something I wasn't expecting to do, but it just so happened, and it's really cool. This is really an industrial area, and a lot of companies, what they do is just like VK Industries. They set up shop, they set up a small front office in the city, in this case right by the shipyard, and then they have their bigger warehouse and bigger operations facilities with bulk of their employees. They have those at a location more out of the city, and where real estate is cheaper and where more industries are permitted. And now, whether that's a great thing or not, is still a little bit debatable because there are a lot of negative aspects from the relocation of a lot of those industries, and one in the energy it takes to carry the materials from the port to this final location where the warehouse is. And then there's also the environmental considerations that a lot of the factories or a lot of the different industries that operate in these more lax-free zones that creates, and those are all different things to think about. But overall, this has been the business model, at least for most companies, import-export companies in India, that set up shop in the city and then have a bigger warehouse outside of the city. And today the coastline and the oceans become a vital point for business. As we were just talking to someone from Sagorkar business, and their import and export of iron ore essentially all comes through this one big port that's right behind us in the sea.
Mining is basically a lot of logistics. So if you're able to put the logistics into place in terms of your loading, we got a transhipper which can load the big ships. We can load up to 40,000 tons a day.
Okay.
So from 10,000 to 40,000 tons.
The one thing that always came to my mind is, especially with the growth that's going on in India right now, especially the infrastructure, there's a lot of potential for manufacturing and engineering. So I said, you know what, and one statistic that came to my mind was, I read somewhere that US has some 1400 kilowatt hours of electricity consumption per person. To reach half that level, India has to install 40 times what it has already installed in terms of power.
But the underlying infrastructure isn't there. You don't have your roads, you don't have, as I said before, you don't have that stuff.
Right.
So the government is trying to sort of step it up, do a lot of government spending on power and roads, utilities.
To get up to par.
That's happening. That is happening.
Get into his power transmission towers, which is similar structure, but for that you need scale. You're competing against companies which are 100 times your size, and there's no way we could compete. So the next logical thing was to get into general fabrication, which is steel fabrication, which has a much broader market. There are companies like BHEL, L&T, and a whole host of companies which have a lot of need for the structural fabrication. Any power plant you build, any cement plant you build, any metro project you have to do, you need steel structures.
The grid-connected solar PV industry in India is around $20 billion. But the off-grid is around $65 billion.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's much bigger, but the problem is it's very difficult to scale because you're dealing with an individual homeowner. So it's all about business model innovation.
We're about halfway into our journey through India, and now we're just on the train, taking the train from Bangalore to a place called Puttaparthi, and just so far I just wanted to take a second and recollect a lot of things that we've learned just in the last couple of days. And it's been interesting because I've gone from loving Mumbai, loving India a lot at the start, and then Pune was a great time, and then slowly I got a little bit sick, and I started thinking, well, India's not as fun as I actually thought it would be, and I started getting a little bit started missing the kind of infrastructure and kind of systems that they had in place in the US. But now, after spending 4 or 5 days in Bangalore and really having an awesome time there, meeting so many different entrepreneurs and meeting so many different individuals there, we've had a really amazing time, and I really started now loving again Bangalore. I think a lot of it has to do loving India. A lot of it has to do with being healthy once again, starting to heal after falling off the bike. Now I'm just having a great time and looking forward to the next couple of days of this trip. And we still have an incredible long way to go. But I must say that Bangalore and just the footage that we have so far, and the few interviews and the many interviews that we've done already in the last 20 or 30 days, just that we could take all that and take the plane and fly home today, and we'd have an awesome lot of material to make a really cool documentary.
जय 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 हनुमान की जय जय कृपा निधान की जय 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 हनुमान की जय जय कृपा निधान की पावन नाम तु जप ले मनुआ दया करेंगे राम जी जीवन तेरा बन जाएगा मिलेंगे श्री हनुमान.
So here we are now in Puttaparthi, and as you can notice, it's really quiet, kind of quiet here. And I mean, you can see from walking around different places, there used to be tons of different people coming around here. It used to be a really, really crowded a place at the time when Sai Baba was still living, but now it's kind of slowing down a little bit, and you can see there's not that much happening everywhere, but it's still a very nice place.
Ram Lakshman.
In all honesty, people in India are not scared to spend on good medical equipment. We have very good doctors and everything, but the reach is not very good. United Nations says that you need to have at least 8 beds per 1,000 population. The US average is 6.7, the world average is 3.3, and India's average is about 2.1.
Oh, okay.
So it's obvious, I mean, that there's this huge need. So we basically have 2 different wings. So 50% of it is completely charitable. The other 50% earns enough to sustain the charity work that's done there. Now we're getting into private hospitals too. So I mean, the main aim is to grow to about 700 beds in the next 5 years. So that's going to be about 4 hospitals. Mainly in tier 2 cities where we've identified some tier 2 cities wherein quality healthcare is not accessible. So that's what we're growing into.
When I moved back to India, I was with my sister for a while, and then she moved to a different city after a year or so. So when she moved, actually, she misplaced the medical records of her 2 kids, my nieces. So she misplaced that in the move. So that's when we thought, that why not have a system where people could just store the information on the web, on the cloud maybe. Why to carry hard copies everywhere? Okay. And so that was the start of our thinking process. And then once we started on this journey, there are a lot of other things which came around, and then we tried to figure out what is something that is broken in the current healthcare industry in India. And we found several things which we could make a change, and that was where we are trying to put together some of those, trying to come up with solutions to those things as part of All Is Health.
So how we started, our first services were SMS based. So on several carriers across India, you could pay 1 rupee a day and access health content on a variety of topics. Diabetes, diet, weight, nutrition, reproductive health, which reproductive health is one of our top topics. If you're a teenager and you're coming to our site and you want to learn about birth control, there's a very good chance that you're scared and that nobody has really discussed this information with you before. Maybe you're curious and you want to know more, but that means the information from the health angle needs to be delivered in an empathetic manner.
So you're finally in Hyderabad, and as you can see, traffic here is kind of a little bit like Mumbai, moving very slowly, but the infrastructure in terms of roads and cleanliness systems is far improved. Although I must say Hyderabad looks very much like Bangalore, and the cities are very similar in terms of population and size, but we're currently just driving around and exploring a little bit of the city and getting a feel for what kind of businesses are around here and what Hyderabad is all about.
చెల్లలిగే ఈగా ఏ ముझे क्या करेगा అని ఆలోచించలోగా నీ ఆయువున్న జాగా తగలబెట్టి ఎగిరిపోన తార నువ్వలాగా
Hyderabad was formerly known as the City of Pearls, and now it's changed to become really a big trading center for the IT industry and for different the aeronautics and the plane and train building and industries. But it's become the largest provider to the economy in the state of Andhra Pradesh.
Furthermore, Hyderabad was a great place to pause and reflect about what it takes to run a company in India.
Because so it's not an easy decision to move back, because after living in US for almost 20 years, my kids are all born there, and I always have this, that after kids are, in my opinion, after they're 10 years or older, they run your life pretty much. They make the decisions. So I think it was more of a time-based decision. So we had to make the decision now or never, because as things are evolving from family front, you know, it's a delicate balance, you know, with the family and your own personal goals of entrepreneurship, doing something in your career. You got to have the balance. So it was very important that I had to make this decision at that time. If I probably delayed it for another 3-4 years, I think it would have been a lot more difficult for me to come back.
In my opinion, you see that the two different things that we're talking about. One is about being in the management, and the other thing is about the industry that you want to be in. Now herein, the way I look at it is that, you know, my family started something. I want to make sure that we go on with it, and we go on with it in a very, very good way, and we, you know, maintain our name in this particular industry. So that kind of holds me back, because this is one industry that I'm always going to be in, no matter what. Now, but when I talk about management, now here is where I'm a little free. What I'm going to try to do is, or what I'm still trying to do is, professionalize the top management to the extent that at some point in my life, I don't have to interfere in the management of this company at all.
Since I started, I always going direct to the viewers. So it was very easier for me to make the better quality compared to my competitors. So I always have a very good name in the quality of the weaving, and I always take care of the quality of the yarn, the quality of the dyeing, quality of the washing.
Well, you can see in a developing country, government has a very crucial role, because everything is new. Like, for example, a village does not have a road. You lay a road, it's like the growth is like you see a 10%, 20% growth. That's the reason why you see India is growing at 9%, 10%, is because everything is new. Everything's happening for the first time, and when it's happening, the best is happening. So government's role is very important, and government needs to understand the balance between what it needs to give out into private sector and what it needs to hold. And I think in the current state, it's got that confusion.
Welcome to Calcutta. We finally reached, this is India's third biggest city, biggest metropolis area with a total population of 14.1 million people living, including the suburbs. And right now we're just taking a little cruise, a little boat ride on the Ganges River. And as you can see on the left, There's Howrah, which is a suburb of Calcutta, and on the right it's really the center of the city of Calcutta, where we visited certain palaces and the planetarium and all kinds of different really cool things which are there. Now, interesting thing about this river is that it leads all the way up to Varanasi, which is going to be our next destination, and then it downflows all the way into the ocean. And what's interesting is there's another Wiseman student who was actually on this river a couple days ago, Aniba, who I saw through Facebook was river rafting down at Rishikesh, which is really cool. But this river is one of the key symbols of India, and is known also as the Holy River.
Anything, depending on what industry and what part of the chain, whether you're opening a retail store or you're opening a factory or you're opening a company. Opening a company or a partnership is still easier. But when it comes to a factory, for example,
environment clearances is a painstaking and laborious process.
Yeah, political agitations, political turmoil, and there was a week when we started, when we diversified and we had a new client. There was a week when there were 3 days of shutdown because of these agitations, and there were 3 days of power cut.
Things don't go as planned in India in any area, whether it's the governmental side or the regulatory side, or even within our own organizations. So you're constantly thinking on your feet, you're dancing around problems, putting out fires.
A little difficult. One very big thing is that there is a lot of red tape, a lot of corruption. How companies deal with it is something completely different.
Corruption, yes, there is significant amount of corruption, I would say, and it has probably peaked in the last few years.
I think politically there's obviously if you read the papers, there's a lot of criticism of the inaction, etc., etc. I think that's going to be a factor in Indian politics for many, many years.
If you need to curb corruption, you just can't go out there and say, I don't want corruption or stop being corrupt.
Right.
You need to come from the grassroots level, right? From the legislative system or from the political system or intra-party democracy, everything matters.
Political stability is there, but an element of uncertainty has crept up before the next general election, 2014. There has been a fear or a general perception of a non-performing government. So a lot of very big businesses are now looking at business abroad.
From my own experience of having lived through India for 2 months, I witnessed how corruption has been embedded in the culture and has for some just become part of the cost of doing business. Nonetheless, a lot is also being done now for change. And speaking of change, social entrepreneurship and its impact was an element that really dawned on me as I visited Varanasi.
So welcome to Varanasi. I finally made it to here, the city that is known to be one of the oldest cities in the world. It is also a city surrounded by temples and holy places. And I was fortunate yesterday night to take a tour on the Ganges River, and I'll be telling you more about that when I take the tour. India actually really lies in my blood. My dad is from India, and actually he was from the orphanage home that's right behind me, called Our Lady's Home. And this is why I've chosen to come back on my father's footsteps and really explore not only this orphanage home and meet some of the students in here and find out their views on entrepreneurship, but to really explore India and to see this country in which my dad was born, and this country that is booming and that is at the center of the world's attention now in terms of entrepreneurship.
One of the main goals of this trip was to give back and do social good while in India. Therefore, I was delighted to teach entrepreneurship to a few students at the orphanage home.
So you see, what did I tell you? I told you to make planes, and I said whoever throws it the furthest will win. So that's like in life. People tell you, you go to school to achieve something, you want to be something, so you want to be successful, you want to achieve something big. But there are many ways you can achieve something big. There are 20 different kinds of planes over here. But a plane also doesn't have to be that shape. who says that a plane has to look like that? There's no definition of a paper plane that says it has to be exactly that shape. So that's why sometimes that's like, a plane like that, it's like you can become a doctor, you can become an engineer, it's all the same, very similar. But if you become an entrepreneur, it's completely different. I can take a piece of paper, crumple it, and I can call that's my plane. That's how I see a plane. And I can throw it as furthest, and I can sometimes even go further. If people don't block my chocolate, I can go further. But that was good block, yeah. Jaipur Rugs employs about 40,000 different weavers, which is an amazing thing. And when I thought about that, I thought about the huge, like, not only are you running a profitable venture, a good business, but that aside, you're providing a livelihood for 40,000 different people, which is an amazing fact.
Business means everything is done by the people, by the hands. So we are adding more and more people each year.
Okay.
So I was a little bit worried. The more people we have, the more problem we have. Because business problem is the people's problem. If I go beyond the business, I may start a organization which go beyond the business and can take care of the life of the viewers, about their education, about their health, about their other needs. So I think that will give a great future to Jaipur company.
We've trained a couple of thousands of students. Wow. So it's been a very enriching experience for us, satisfying for us, and of course very educationally good for the community. Right. The profile, the health of the community also improves with these kind of interventions.
At Goldman, and we work on a trading strategy, and I make $1 million for a millionaire. It's like a big deal. You know, like if you're not doing it, there's 100 other kids that would jump into that job and do it. But when you're a volunteer and you're going into a village and you're educating a kid about birth control, and you realize that nobody's going to come in there and help people learn or talk about those topics otherwise, and you're making a positive impact hopefully in somebody's life. So that's a good feeling, and that's what I wanted to do.
Biggest thing happening in India is aspirations of people. They have exploded. They have grown phenomenal. We have also taken a lot of initiatives on the social outreach programs. We have started a foundation giving scholarships and prizes. We also have a law college, a school, and a hospital.
So somehow they are quite forward looking in the sense they want to get some extra education, extra vocational education, so that they can also supplement the income of the family. They can do better, they can go ahead in studies, and also they look forward to getting vocational training and also getting jobs, maybe part-time jobs in the beginning, and they continue with their education also part-time. Social entrepreneurship is also like an opportunity which you have taken a step ahead. But I think that's the only entrepreneurship in which money doesn't matter. It's the dedication and sincerity and passion which will work for you and nothing else. So I think it's entrepreneurship with a difference, without monetary value attached to it.
I'm a happy man.
Yeah.
I'm so happy and I'm so fulfilled with the thankful to the God that he gave me so much which I never thought and I never demand from him.
So that's really interesting. That's a nice, humble perspective on it.
Entrepreneurship is, I don't think it is like you need capital, you need to invest, or it's more about the drive. To do something differently, what you see on a day-to-day basis, you try to do it differently. I think that's where like innovation and that is where entrepreneurship comes from. Right. That is the basis of entrepreneurship, I would say.
You have to innovate. If I say the first phase of entrepreneurship is relationship marketing or relationship building, number 2 important thing is innovation. Okay? You have to be innovative.
You have to be different. Very difficult to survive or make money in a traditional line of business. India is a huge country, a lot of population.
Right.
If there's some opportunity, I feel there are like thousands of people who are pursuing that. That's competition is huge. Right. Too much competition, right? So margins are becoming thinner and thinner in traditional lines of business. Say for example, I see a cake shop and I say, okay, I'm going to make money putting up another cake shop it's not going to happen,
It's always good not to have excessive government involvement in any business, because that is what is going to kill the whole spirit of entrepreneurship or the whole spirit of innovation. The idea of giving short-term advantages, like I give you free healthcare, I give you free that, I give you free this, that I think is good, is needed. I'm not disagreeing. It's not it's a bad idea. I'm just saying we will be ruining the urge to earn.
Yeah.
It's
kind of killing the entrepreneurial spirit.
Exactly. It's like just killing the spirit. Like if everything you want is you're getting it for free, then where's the need for you to earn?
Like I was getting suffocated. I was feeling claustrophobic. Right. Some of the projects they would ask me to work on, I won't enjoy. I was a lousy employee, rather. Let me be very honest, yeah. I mean, if you're, I think whatever you do, you should enjoy doing what you do. Exactly. Otherwise, you can't excel in that. Yeah. You'll just be lousy.
As a social entrepreneur, I think the passion was behind it. So it was never, it was just walking ahead and never stepping back in any of the projects.
Then suddenly my journey in India took an unexpected but relaxful trip through the Himalayas.
जो घड़ाई दिंगा गोरिए मेड़ा था दिखना मिंजरांदा सोनिया नारांदा लोभी जमाना थोड़ी दे जाना जमुआंदा
लोंगे दा घड़ाना हो छट मेरे गतिया मेला नी दिखना मिंजरांदा जमुआ दे शहर लई चल मित्रा वेला नी ओना जवानियां
चल चंबे दे जगाने चल मेरी गदड़े मेला वसा दिखना मिंजरांदा
चंबे दे चौगाने नी जाना मेरे गतिया घूमना शहर में जमुआंदा
Welcome to Jaipur. View from up top the fort.
Should remember, Sanjay, is the market in India is huge. The opportunities are huge, and India is going to be growing at a whatever rate, maybe less than what was expected, but it's going to grow.
रानी तू मैं राजा, रानी तू मैं राजा।
तुझे देखूं जब जब मेरा दिया धड़के, कभी आग लग जाए कभी शोला भड़के, मैंने बदला के जैसे बिजली कड़के, रानी मैं तू राजा, रानी मैं तू राजा, राजा, राजा।
मेरी मत वाला तुझको बिन वरमाला लंदन घुमाऊंगा।
So, what is Europe now? What is America?
Yeah, not doing too well.
Yeah, we have to all look at India.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a huge potential out here.
Yeah.
The demographics are great for consumption. So everything looks very good in India's favor. So once you're over the mindset that, look, things take longer, they take longer, but you're going to be there.
So if you can adapt to the fact that, look, the US and Western economies are only going to grow at a best of 1 to 3% a year for the foreseeable future, and that China and India are growing at anywhere from 7 to 9% a year, then you'll recognize that there's just greater opportunities.
We are poised for an awesome growth opportunity because few things that at the macro level, you have the population, you have a growing middle class, you have the infrastructure, and you have the right amount of education. Well, you need more education, but you have good education across the country. So everything is going in the right direction. You just need good leadership. You just need good decision-making ability. People who can give good decisions for India to grow at a level that is unprecedented for any other country across the globe.
The Indian economy will probably continue to grow at a single digit, maybe mid to hopefully a little bit higher, but 5 to 7% single is the next 8-10 years. I don't see that it's going to shrink or grow tremendously like how China had grown for 15-20% in the past. It's pretty stable in that sense. There are in the last 3 or 4 years it's been more volatile, the economy, the market, everything.
Middle class that has a lot of disposable income, so a lot of companies are going to thrive off that, are going to live off that. Right. So you're going to see a lot of development that's happening in that space.
Now we are competing not with Indian producers but with the international producers. So whereas there will always be a demand to produce, if I price it, and we never carry any inventory because they can always be sold. There's no thing that we may not buy. They'll always sell at a price.
So I think Indian entrepreneurs, given our environment, are very, very well positioned to succeed. I think where we need to transition is building the company to a particular point and then making a process out of what is initially chaos.
But the underlying infrastructure isn't there. You don't have your roads, you don't have, as I said before, you don't have that stuff. So the government is trying to sort of step it up, do a lot of government spending on power and roads, utilities.
To get up to par.
That's happening, that is happening, but we are just growing. As we put more roads, so we have 4-lane a road, but now we need a 6-lane road.
in my office, you'll see that I got this poster of these dinosaurs up there, and I put this sign. I had a, you know, I take a lot of classes in environmental science as an undergraduate, and I love Darwin. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that there was the quote. I mean, in essence, what Darwin kind of highlighted was it wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the strongest that survived. It was the ones that were most adaptable to changes in their environment. So a T-Rex could kill a cockroach, but the cockroach is still around, right? Because it could just adapt to changes. I don't want to say entrepreneurs are cockroaches, but hopefully the point there is just that if you, as a business professional, can adapt to changes in the environment and adapt to where there's opportunity, you'll thrive and succeed.
The objective as an entrepreneur is to really, okay, you have a plan, but keep evolving, right? So that's been the case, right? The plan we wrote in Babson is never the case when we came here, and never the case wrote. So the purpose is the same, but it keeps evolving.
As an entrepreneur, in fact, even as a family business owner, you're so plugged into your business that the barometer of your life is determined by the health of your business. So if business is good, you feel good.
I mean, I think I've become a big believer in learn by doing. So when you say exit strategy, right? So you may think about the 2-3, very lucrative scenarios that come to people's minds. Exit strategy could mean us going out of business. Exit strategy could mean us not getting enough customers even after we build the best product we thought we were going.
I mean, India has enough problems, and I think the best solutions would probably come from the people who live here, and or who actually know the country well, to find solutions that are both acceptable culturally and economically.
Business is not only to earn. Business is to bring more happiness and touching the peoples who have not been touched up to now. So if you have the less greed, if you have the less ego, if you have the less unsatisfied desires, then we can work for the higher, and that is the real entrepreneurship.
When there are so many problems, why don't you look at them as opportunities? So that was a good way of putting it, that you create, out of those problems you make opportunities and you work towards it and you'll become an entrepreneur.
So the project Defining Entrepreneurship in India took place over 2 months this summer, from June through August, and now we're currently in December, and this is my last day working on the edit of this movie. But I must say that my journey in India was probably will always be one of the most amazing experiences and memories in my life, and I think that has a lot to do with the incredible people that I encountered during my travels and interviews, and therefore I really wanted to take a second to thank everyone that I met and who made this experience such a memorable one. And finally, I was so blown away by the Babson Alumni Network in India that I'm going to do the whole project all over again in Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina next summer. And I'd really like to thank you as well for taking the time to watch this documentary, and I encourage you to send me any comments and suggestions for future projects. So till then, stay strong and keep entrepreneuring.